Welcome to the deep dive. Ever stop and think about how learning is just changing? Right now, all around us, it feels like more than just a small shift. It's like a whole market is transforming fundamentally. And today, that's exactly what we're diving into: the super fast moving world of digital learning platforms. Our guide for this is a really insightful Market Pulse report. It gives this clear, data packed view of global trends and honestly, some pretty mind blowing forecasts.
Oh yeah, mind-blowing is definitely the right word. Our job today really is to pull out the key bits about this huge expansion. We need to look at the scale, but maybe more importantly, figure out why it's happening, what's driving all this.
Yeah.
You're about to hear some numbers that, well, they really show how much education and getting access to knowledge is being completely reshaped.
Okay, let's get into it then. We're talking globally first.
Yeah.
Just how big are we looking at and, how fast is this thing actually growing? Give us the headline figures.
Right. So the speed of it all is what's really striking. If you look back at 2021, the global market was valued at about $11,227.3 million, so
Oh.
just over $11.2 billion dollars. But the growth curve, it's steep. Projections show it hitting 24,376.8 million by 2025. That's more than double in just 4 years. And then look out to 2033. The forecast is a massive $114,917 million, almost $115 billion.
Okay, hang on. That jump from around 11 billion to nearly 115 billion in what, 12 years? That's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? That implies an overall compound annual growth rate, the CAGR. What did the report say?
It's 21.388%, a remarkable figure.
Over 21%.
Uh,
That's incredible growth year on year. Like you said, it's almost doubling every 3.5 years or so. That's not just growing, that's
Well,
hyper growth.
exactly. And, if you step back and look at the why,
Mhm.
this isn't happening in isolation, right?
Yeah.
It's tied directly to some really big shifts we're all seeing. Things like the huge move to remote education, hybrid learning models becoming normal,
Mhm.
and just, well, everyone adopting digital tech faster across the board globally. These are fundamental changes.
That makes sense. So it's driven by these big global trends, but does that mean this digital learning boom is happening everywhere equally? Or are there like specific areas, regional hotspots where it's really taking off? Let's zoom in a bit.
Yeah, good point. It's definitely not uniform across the globe. Let's maybe start with Asia Pacific because actually that region shows the highest regional CR. It's coming in at 22.426%. So the market there was about $2,851 million in 2021. It's projected to hit $6,398 million by 2025. And it soared to over $32,291 million by 2033. Now, China's a big part of that naturally, with its own CER around 22.6%. But the real standout is India. India actually has the highest KER globally. It's an amazing 23.514%. Think about that. It goes from around $356 million in 2021, projected to reach almost $4.5 billion, $4,488 million by 2033.
Wow, India at 23.5%. That's
Yeah.
that's really something else. Why such acceleration there compared to even other fast-growing places?
Well, it's a mix of things. You've got this huge young population, the demographic dividend people talk about. Plus, there's been a really strong government push with initiatives like Digital India. And frankly, there's a massive need. Lots of people looking for accessible, affordable education that maybe traditional methods struggle to deliver at that scale. So digital platforms are kind of leapfrogging some of the old infrastructure hurdles,
Wow.
making learning possible in new ways.
Okay.
And it's not just India and China. Japan, South Korea, Australia, Singapore, Southeast Asia. They're all showing strong growth too, with attributed over 21%. It's a region-wide trend.
Incredible story in Asia Pacific. So, what about markets we often think of as more established tech hubs, like North America? How do they fit into this picture? Is it a different kind of growth?
That's a good question. North America isn't necessarily the fastest growing in percentage terms, but it's still a huge dominant market. Its value went from nearly $4 billion, $3,974 million in 2021, and it's forecast to hit over $38,497 million by 2033. That's still a very strong CGR of 20.833%. The U.S. is the main engine there, of course. Projected to cross $30 billion by 2033 on its own with a 20.693% CGR.
Still massive growth then.
Absolutely. But what's also interesting is seeing Canada and Mexico really picking up pace too. Both are showing CGRs over 21%. Canada going from roughly $500 million in 2021 to over $5 billion by 2033, and Mexico from about $330 million to over $3.2 billion in the same period. So it's definitely a continent-wide embrace.
Right. And Europe, how does it compare?
Europe's showing really consistent expansion. It started at around $2.5 billion in 2021, projected to grow to over $24 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of 20.894%, very close to North America's overall rate. Germany seems to be leading the pack within Europe, forecast to go from about $500 million to over $5.2 billion. Right.
The
The UK and France are also strong, both above 20% CAGR. And then you have Italy, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, all showing solid growth between 20 and 21.3%. It's pretty steady acceleration across the continent.
Okay, so strong, steady growth in Europe. What about other regions? South America, Middle East, Africa?
Yeah, let's cover those. South America has seen a really significant jump. It went from about $763 million in 2021, expected to reach over $8 billion by 2033. That's a 21.698% CAGR.
Right.
And you see countries like Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile, all clocking growth rates above 21%. Argentina is even higher at 22.4%, so definitely rapid adoption there. Then the Middle East also showing robust growth. From around $730 million in 2021, TTO over $7.6 billion forecast for 2033. That's a 21.554% CAGR. Key players like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the UAE are all seeing strong double-digit growth. The UAE in particular stands out with a 22.395% CAGR.
And high growth there too, and Africa.
Africa's definitely on a promising path as well. Started smaller, around $404 million in 2021, but projected to grow to over $4.2 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of 20.924%. South Africa is a major market within the continent, expected to grow from about $162 million to nearly $1.8 billion. But Nigeria and other parts of Africa are also expanding significantly. It really highlights the potential for digital learning to maybe help bridge some educational access gaps.
It's quite a tour of the globe. Okay, so we've seen these huge numbers, we've seen where the growth is concentrated, but let's bring it back to the why. What does it all mean? What's really powering this massive global surge? What are the core engines?
Right, that's the crucial question. And the report boils it down to a few key interconnected forces that are really changing the game for accessing knowledge. First, and maybe most obvious, is just the increased digital transformation within education itself. And like you said earlier, this isn't just scanning textbooks, it's much more fundamental. Think about things like AI personalizing learning for each student, or interactive virtual labs you can access from anywhere, tools for real-time collaboration, even things like micro-credentials, breaking down big degrees into smaller, skill-focused chunks that employers might value. It's a different way of thinking about qualifications.
Okay, so the tech and how education uses it. What else?
Second, there's really significant government support for e-learning popping up in many countries. Governments worldwide seem to get how vital a digitally skilled population is and how important fair access to education is. So you see funding for online infrastructure, programs to boost digital literacy, policies actually weaving e-learning into the national curriculum. It's becoming mainstream.
Makes sense. Policy backing it up.
Exactly. And the third piece is perhaps the most basic but essential. The ongoing relentless growth in smartphone ownership and internet access across the world. It's simple, really. More people than ever just have the tools, the phone, the tablet, the connection needed to actually use these platforms. This has been huge for opening up education to people in remote areas or people who just couldn't access it before because of geography or cost. Put those three together, the tech shift in education, government backing, and wider access, and you've got, well, perfect conditions for this market to boom.
It really is staggering when you see the scale of it all, this digital learning market growth. And it's not some abstract trend, right? This directly impacts how you, listening now, how you, as a learner or a professional or just someone curious, how you'll find and use knowledge going forward.
Absolutely. And looking at those core drivers again, that digital shift, the government push, the sheer access, they're not just changing how we learn, but potentially who gets to learn. And that brings up a really important question, or at least something for you to think about. Given this incredible growth and knowing what's behind it, what do you think are the biggest implications for, say, traditional schools and universities, for the idea of learning throughout your life, or even for global fairness in who gets access to quality knowledge? What new challenges or maybe opportunities does this kind of exponential change create in your own world?
That's a great thought to leave people with. It's definitely a space that's evolving so quickly, and it really pushes us all to think differently about learning. We definitely encourage you to keep an eye on this fascinating area because, yeah, the way we learn is changing right now. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something huge.
Yeah,
The way we learn is just completely transforming.
it really is.
We're going to distill the core of the digital learning platforms market. We want to pull out the key drivers, the real challenges and where it's all heading.
Yeah, we're drawing this straight from the sources we've looked at.
Exactly. It's this fascinating mix of like massive opportunity and some pretty persistent hurdles.
And what's really striking, I think, is just how fast the world shifted.
Yeah.
The pandemic, well, it undeniably sped up this global move to remote and hybrid learning.
Right.
It fundamentally changed education access. It kind of created this new normal that affects pretty much everyone.
But you know what jumped out at me from the sources? This wasn't entirely sudden. Even back in 2019, something like 43% of post-secondary students were already taking online courses.
That's a great point. It wasn't just a pandemic thing.
No, it shows this quiet revolution was, well, already well underway.
Yeah. And if you connect that to the projections, I mean, they're just astounding. The global digital education market, it's estimated to hit, what, $375 billion by 2026?
Wow.
Yeah, with roughly a 20% compound annual growth rate. That's huge.
That's incredible growth.
And it's not just schools and universities. A really critical piece here is the corporate world, the need for upskilling, for training. Nearly half the workforce, maybe 50%, is expected to need reskilling by 2025. And digital platforms. They already make up something like 40–45% of all corporate learning. It's about keeping employees adaptable.
So the future of work is basically demanding this new future of learning.
Precisely.
Okay, so that corporate angle really broadens things. But is that the main force, or are there other big drivers pushing this digital explosion?
Oh, definitely other factors.
Right.
Another major one is just the spread of mobile learning and personalized platforms.
Mobile, okay.
Yeah, web-based platforms. They still hold the biggest chunk, maybe 50% of the market. But mobile solutions are at 35%, and they're actually growing the fastest.
Faster than web. Interesting.
Yeah. And this shift is really being powered by things like AI and adaptive learning tech.
How does that work exactly, the AI part?
Well, think about it. AI can sort of watch how you learn in real time. It sees where you're getting stuck or where you're excelling, and then it automatically adjusts things. Maybe the difficulty, maybe it offers extra help right when you need it. It makes a whole experience feel, custom built.
Tailored just for you.
Exactly. And that's making these digital environments way more engaging, more effective. You see higher retention rates because of it.
Okay, the momentum is clearly there. But like any big shift, there have got to be obstacles, right? What are the main hurdles this sector is facing?
Absolutely. It's definitely not all easy. There are significant challenges. First off, the big one, the digital divide, accessibility gaps.
Right.
I mean, imagine trying to learn a new job skill or your kid trying to do homework, but you just don't have reliable internet.
Yeah, that stops everything.
It does. And that's the reality for, 2.7 billion people globally? And even here, 19 million Americans are still offline. It's a huge barrier, especially for rural areas, low-income communities.
A fundamental barrier to opportunity, really.
Totally. Then second, there's learner engagement and course completion. That remains a big issue.
People dropping out.
Yeah, especially with MOCs, those massive open online courses and the self-paced stuff. We probably all signed up for an online course, meaning, and then...
Life happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Motivation drops off. People feel isolated. It's a tough nut to crack. And finally, there's data privacy and just, content quality.
Privacy is a big one.
Huge. Our sources say something like 69% of parents mention privacy issues. That's a real barrier to just getting everyone on board. People worry about how their data or their kids' data is being used.
Okay, those are stark challenges, especially that digital divide. But given the momentum, the innovation you mentioned, are these hurdles actually slowing things down, or are they just bumps in the road?
Well, innovation is definitely pushing forward, trying to tackle these.
Yeah.
AI-driven adaptive learning, like we talked about, and gamification making learning feel like a game.
Like using flashcards or
Yeah.
quizzes.
Exactly. Or those little micro-learning modules, short, focused lessons you could do on your phone. Those really seem to boost engagement and help people remember stuff.
And what about things like VR?
VR and AR,
Yeah.
virtual and augmented reality, they're gaining traction. Especially for specialized training, like complex safety procedures or immersive simulations.
Cool.
And the market itself is shifting, too, more towards cloud-based learning management systems, the LMS platforms that organize everything, and these subscription models for microlearning. It caters to how people learn now. Mobile first, on demand. Like you.
Great. So summing up, it's this really dynamic space, huge growth, lots of opportunity, tons of innovation happening.
Precisely. But it also has these complex challenges.
Yeah.
And tackling them, especially for a more equitable future, needs everyone working together.
Yeah.
It's kind of a paradox, isn't it? The tech solves one problem, access to knowledge, but potentially makes another. The digital divide, even wider if we're not careful. It's a societal challenge, not just tech.
Absolutely. Well, from classrooms to corporations, it seems pretty clear. The future of learning is definitely digital, it's becoming more immersive, and it's incredibly personalized.
No doubt about it.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. As this landscape keeps changing so fast, what new skills might you need to pick up? And how will you actually use these platforms, these digital, immersive, personalized tools for your own learning journey going forward?